Thanks so much, Liz. It's a particular pleasure to be doing this panel in honor of President Faust, who has been such a passionate supporter of arts and of women, as you heard. I remember when she left for Harvard Yard and how she said that now that a woman had a seat at the table, she's going to change the menu and change the table, and she has. And of course, we writers endeavor to follow her example, for of course, gender issues have plagued the arts from time immemorial. Happily in writing, we've been helped in this by an organization called VITA, which in 2009 began tracking both who reviews books and whose books get reviewed. The results were dozens of charts like this one for the New Republic. And here, as you can see, the red is male, blue is female. Happily, in some cases, there has been recent improvement because of the pressure brought by VITA, as well as changes in editorial. For example, here are the new charts for the New York Times Book Review. And let me say that no matter how bad the numbers continue at, for instance, the New York Review of Books, the occasional truly outstanding woman does make it through. Still, given this sort of thing, it is perhaps no surprise that when the board of the Modern Library of America named the 100 best novels of the 20th century, its list featured 91 novels by men and 9 by women. And similarly, in 2006, when the New York Times Book Review tried to name the most important book of the previous 25 years, the nominees included 20 books by men and 2 by women. As for how things stand today, we might consider that all-important cultural arbiter, listchallenge.com. There, if having worked through the 100 movies to see before you die, the 100 foods to eat before you die, the 100 places to visit before you die, you are finally moved to tackle the 100 books to read before you die, you will be confronted by some by now familiar percentages. So the question is, of course, how different will the Modern Library of America Best Novels of the 21st Century list look? The answer is very much tied up with the fact that readership for fiction has always been predominantly female, and the fact that the definition of literary has more or less been not what those readers read. Many people took offense when the editor of the Times Literary Supplement responded to 2011 VITA count by saying, "We know that women are heavy readers of the kind of fiction that is not likely to be reviewed in the pages of the TLS." But in truth, he was in league not only with Nathaniel Hawthorne, who famously complained about a damned mob of scribbling women, but George Eliot, who wrote an essay called Silly Novels by Lady Novelists, and with Jane Austen as well, who laughed, "I could not sit seriously down to write a serious romance under any motive save to save my life. And if it were indispensable for me to keep it up and never relax into laughing at myself or other people, I am sure I should be hung before I had finished the first chapter." In short, while there is some disagreement in the literary world about whether a work of fiction is properly autotelic or not, that is, whether art is for art's sake or may serve a social purpose, most agree that it must make people really look and really see and really feel. Jane Austen concludes her note about what she can't possibly do with, "No, I must keep my own style and go on in my own way," and that is, of course, exactly right. Books that traffic in piousness, in formula, in cliché and sentimentality may make it onto a bestseller list, but they will not make it onto any other lists. Yet, such is the pull of the women's market, a market estimated by some as 70 to 80% of the market for fiction, that literary women are often dragged into the field of the very kind of fiction against which literary is defined. Witness these covers for Nobel laureate Alice Munro, for example. I know. And here are an old and a new cover for Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. And in honest in honor of President Faust's predecessor, Alice Adams, who won the Radcliffe Medal in 1997. Here is the cover for her novel, Superior Women. You can see how appropriate the artwork is for a novel about 5 Radcliffe women in the 1940s. Not that women are the only ones marketed in an astonishing way. Witness the sameness of the covers of books related to Africa. It is as if, as one tweeter said, they were all designed by someone whose principal idea of the continent comes from The Lion King.